Well, it's been an emotional week for Claudio Ranieri. An emotional week for a delightfully emotional man. His reception on his return to Leicester last weekend was touching. Thomas Tuchel was honest enough to concede that Chelsea were lucky to beat his team here on Wednesday. A week of reunions, of appreciation, but a week that yielded no points. Watford were always in the game in snowy Leicester last Sunday. They had a higher XG than their opponents, created chances, created danger. They started so well against Chelsea, maybe deserved to be in front at half-time here on Wednesday. But hard luck stories don't fight off relegation. They love Claudio here too, but that's 5 defeats in his 7 matches in charge, and now it's Manchester City. I saw City at Villa Park on Wednesday, a depleted City, depleted in personnel at least, certainly not in quality, classily dominant at the outset, defiantly assured when Villa came back at them. All the hallmarks of the champions they are, and they're not about to let their title go without playing a big part in this mouth-watering race to finish top of the Premier League. Chelsea started the day on top, Liverpool are now on top, Manchester City can go to the top. It is another Super Saturday on TalkSport. Game day has the big games. We go again with Watford versus Manchester City on this clear, chill winter's evening in Hertfordshire. Manchester City in an all-white change kit are going to play from left to right in the first half as David Connolly and I look at it. Watford in their traditional yellow and black colours. There has been a change of match referee. Kevin Friend was unable to fulfil the fixture because of illness, so Simon Hooper has stepped in as the man with the whistle. The VAR in his ear will be John Brooks. The pre-Christmas rush will pause now for a moment for the taking of a knee before the action begins. Manchester City, who travel to Germany next week, locked into one of those busy spells that stretch any squad. It's Watford's 5th consecutive fixture against a team from last season's top 8. The fixtures you fight to win promotion for, to play, the fixtures you want, but maybe, David, not the fixtures that decide whether you stay up or not. This is a cup tie in many ways, cup tie atmosphere on Cup weekend, and Watford looking for a giant killing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I guess how they performed against Chelsea would have given them certainly a lot of belief, and United, so you've got to remember that, but obviously I think it's another challenge. I mean, we just spoke at the start about where Grealish would play, didn't we? I had a feeling that he wouldn't be wide, and it looks like here he's operating down through the middle and Foden out on the left.
I'm not sure that Jack Grealish has played as the false 9 from the outset in a Manchester City game. I think probably only he and Edison have not this season. And by the way, Edison could probably fill the role himself. But Manchester City have started the match with Sterling on the right, Foden on the left, and Grealish down the middle, and they've started the game with the ball. I'm not sure Watford have had a kick of it as yet.
Well, they almost put Clive 5 players on that last line for Watford. Bernardo Silva goes in there, Sterling's in there, Gundogan's in there, and Foden's in there. So they're overloading that back 4 of Watford. There's almost 5 players on it.
Rodri has the ball on the halfway line. Played square to Ruben Diaz, back alongside Aymeric Laporte, who was suspended on Wednesday. He plays it forward to Rodri, and now carefully out to Sterling, just outside the penalty area, right-hand side. Confronted by the familiar figure of Danny Rose, goes back to Walker. Bernardo Silva offers himself. Sterling has it again, tries to play a crisp pass in towards Walker, which is cut out by Cathcart at the expense of Manchester City's first corner on the right-hand side.
Yeah, Raheem Sterling just hugged the touchline there, so Kyle Walker went on the underlap and Sterling tried to pick him out. Cathcart got a little foot in. I'm surprised Kyle Walker started because there's probably no need to rush him back, but Phil Foden will take the corner from the right-hand side, left-footed.
Goal towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and it's a free header and a wonderful goal line clearance. Fabulous clearance by João Pedro, denying Aymeric Laporte. Diaz attacking the ball, edge of the 6-yard box. Still an opportunity for Jack Grealish, but it was terrible marking by Watford. The centre-back had a free shy at their goal, and somehow João Pedro acrobatically managed to smuggle it off the line.
Terrific header. It was right under the bar as well. He had to jump up high, João Pedro. He was destined for that far corner, beating the goalkeeper. Great defending.
But it goes without saying that Watford, who have not kept a clean sheet in the Premier League this season, are going to have to be a little bit more diligent with their marking than they were when tested and examined by that first Manchester City set piece. And Aymeric Laporte was so unfortunate not to score. Sterling has the ball for Manchester City, midway inside the Watford half. It's goalless with 3 minutes played. The third of our 3 live Premier League commentaries here on TalkSports Game Day. Rodri in possession, just inside Watford territory. Foden keeps it in, exchanges passes with Grealish, goes back to João Cancelo, who actually operated at right back at Villa for a change on Wednesday, but he's back on the left today. Rose has just kept the ball in for Watford, but only for Manchester City have possession, and Bernardo Silva has picked out Foden. Corner of the penalty area, early cross. Sterling must score and does score. He just torments Watford. Raheem Sterling, that's 6 games in a row that he scored against Watford. 10 goals in those 6 games, 11 in all against this opponent. He's not scored more against any other club. He's picking on them.
Well, this starts with a brilliant diagonal, but I think Danny Rose takes this out of play. I think this should have been a throw-in, and actually it's the worst thing because he keeps it straight in play back to City when really I think it was off the pitch. Lovely switch of play, Bernardo Silva out wide to Foden, and he picks a beautiful ball to the back post. Completely unmarked. I mean, what do you say? I mean, it could have been 2-0, 3-0 already by now. As it is, this is what we said at the start. They just drag you so narrow. The full-backs are in because they overload you in the middle of the pitch. It means your wide men are free. They've got all the time in the world to pick across, and what a ball that is to the back post from Foden. And Sterling's got the easy job just to head it in. Nice downward header, simple task, couple of yards out.
Raheem Sterling's 99th Premier League goal puts him on the verge of becoming the 32nd player to 100 in the Premier League era. He's scored in 4 of his last 6 games, and any thoughts that his future with Manchester City may be limited and maybe coming to a premature end have been addressed with his recall to the team, starting a match today for the 5th consecutive time and marking the occasion with a 4th minute goal. What a record he's got against Watford. It actually takes him to 11 in total against this opponent, which is the same number as he scored against Bournemouth. Hasn't scored more against anybody else. Watford trying to reply. Forward they come with Joshua King, trying to hold the ball up just outside the Manchester City penalty area, but Cancelo got to him and he exchanges passes with Bernardo Silva before foul on Laporte. King in his attempts to retrieve the ball just a little wild, and a free kick just outside the Manchester City penalty area. It's an early yellow card actually for Joshua King. There's applause here for a young Watford supporter. With a lot of local publicity about his plight, and it's nice to see the football community coming together in that way. Also nice to see Aymeric Laporte back on his feet And ready to take this free kick for Manchester City, who lead by a goal to nil already. The 12th time that Manchester City have struck first this season, and they have won the previous 11. Watford have still not kept a clean sheet in the Premier League this season. Manchester City have not dropped points from a winning position since May. Bernardo Silva edge of the penalty area, played into the path of Walker, and now Sterling inside the Watford box, running at Watford again, goes for goal again and forces a save from Bachmann, tipped behind for a corner kick. And I don't think Raheem Sterling's century is very far away.
No, again, City just go down the left-hand side, bring you narrow, drag Watford narrow, then hit out the other wing into Raheem Sterling. Nice little step over, comes on the inside, just trying to curl it, bend it into that far corner of his left foot. It was unlucky, good save from Bachmann.
Watford did come from behind to win at Everton in Ranieri's second game in charge in October. This is a tall task they face now. Bernardo Silva in towards Laporte again. Cathcart did well against him, kept alive by Diaz. It's still bouncing around on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Manchester City have another corner on their right-hand side. Corner which Foden will trot across to take right in front of the travelling Manchester City supporters.
Yeah, and he gets a good round of applause as well when he goes over. I mean, they look a threat even on the set, as well as the ball in play and open play, but on set pieces they've got the first contact on everything so far, City.
Foden will take the corner. Left-footed, curled into... And Grealish has got a free header and he's headed it straight at the goalkeeper. And that is calamitous defending. Jack Grealish didn't have anybody within 3 metres of him. He really should have scored, but he picked up Bachmann perfectly.
Is Danny Rose trying to pick him up. What they've done really cleverly, there's 5 of them almost at the back of the penalty box, and they're just trying to swing it into the actual penalty spot and then just try and get a little block on it. It's Grealish that got through that time, and he should score. Either side of Bachmann there, it's 2-0.
I mean, that doesn't reflect very well on the manager and his backroom staff, because their marking at set piece has been awful so far.
Well, the only issue is when you go man for man, you're susceptible to getting blocked off, and that's exactly what they tried to do there. Try and block off Danny Rose and get probably the smallest player free, the one they probably wouldn't expect to get a free header, but it worked.
Watford trying to come forward. João Pedro looking to hold the ball up, but Raheem Sterling goes shoulder to shoulder to him and shows a little bit more determination. Manchester City's winning run was stretched to 6 at Aston Villa on Wednesday night. They are capable of stringing together long sequences of the right results when they need them most. Last season's run began around about the same time. They went 28 unbeaten through until March. Title race over. I think it's going to be over by March of this season. City manoeuvring the ball perfectly again, and Gundogan into Foden, and Grealish is in there and he's stopped by Bachmann, and somehow Sterling following up failed to convert a fairly straightforward chance. The goal was empty after Bachmann's save. It came at Sterling rather sharply, but he miskicked with the goal at his mercy.
Well, fabulous from Foden again. He put it on a plate to Jack Grealish. He took a touch. I don't think he needed to. He could have just gone first time. I mean, Pep Guardiola is screaming at Jack Grealish because Jack's on the last man. He's on Troost-Ekong, but he wants him to play like a false 9. Here, off the front, like a 10. He's playing as a 9, but he wants him as a 10. And he's screaming at him because he's not really doing what he wants. But in the end, he nearly got a goal there.
I was at the Etihad in September of 2019 when Manchester City scored 8 against Watford. I mean, it wouldn't be too much of an exaggeration to say they should have had 3, maybe 4.
Yeah. Well, Grealish could have easily had 2 by now.
We've had 11 minutes.
He had the free header and obviously that chance.
They've got 1. Raheem Sterling after 4 minutes. But Watford are wide open. It has been an exciting time since Claudio took over. 29 goals now in 7 and a bit games. That 5-2 win at Everton, a 4-1 victory over Manchester United, but 5 defeats. They've only drawn 1 match all season. He who dares doesn't always win at this level. King trying to cause some problems for Ruben Diaz. He's done well to link with Cleverley just outside the Manchester City penalty area. Here's Emmanuel Dennis, but he showed too much of it to Joao Cancelo, who kept his eye on the ball and then won a free kick from Dennis. But it certainly, by the standards he's been setting in recent weeks, that was an opening for Emmanuel Dennis.
Yeah, that was good play there from Watford. I mean, I think the pass from Cleverley was a little bit behind Dennis and it just stopped him in full flow, and City managed to get players back. You just saw as soon as he received it, they doubled up on him. They know he's a real threat for Watford.
Watford 0, Manchester City 1. Headed goal, comfortable headed goal for Raheem Sterling after 4 minutes of a game that Manchester City have bossed so far. Gundogan is on the ball for them inside the centre circle, just inside his own territory. Played out to Sterling midway through the Watford half, just in from the right-hand touchline. Goes back to Walker. Ruben Diaz forward to Rodri, and now Aymeric Laporte. He's got time, an opportunity to bring it over the halfway line, find Cancelo on the touchline. Grealish goes wandering and offers himself for the ball, but Manchester City just enjoying a little bout of possession in second gear, but they can move through those gears so swiftly. They change the pace and tempo of attacks in the blink of an eye. Sterling now quickening, exchanging passes with Gundogan. Still 20 metres outside the penalty area. In fact, Gundogan goes back to Ruben Diaz. Now Laporte ventures forward. Rodri in the heart of the Watford half. Support from Foden on the left-hand side. Grealish back again to Cancelo. Foden again. Watford just trying to keep their shape, trying to keep their concentration as Manchester City weave mesmeric patterns at the moment in front of them, but certainly have the capability to find the thrust to play through and around them, and they've done that now with Grealish to Foden and square to Gundogan. He had a shooting opportunity, thought better of it, and was eventually dispossessed by a loser, and Sissoko tries to bring it away. Good burst, typical individual burst by Sissoko, and it's opened up from a bit here, and Dennis is in support of him, edge of the penalty area. Emmanuel Dennis trying to coax it into the head of King. It'll come for Joao Pedro instead. Still a shooting opportunity. High cross to the far post where Cleverley was waiting, but so too was Joao Cancelo. Cleverley catches Foden, and Manchester City have a relieving free kick. But a little bit of hope there for Watford on the counter, David Conlon.
Yeah, I mean, Sissoko has been superb for Watford since he's come in. Broke the play up, drove with it through the middle of the pitch, and then released Dennis. And I just think he could have gone for goal here. I mean, he tried to dink the ball to the back post. Better off going for goal, but coming back to Pep, he has gone bananas here because he thinks the ball should have been ended up out wide to Bernardo Silva for a simple chance at goal. Gundogan took too long, could have got a shot off, tried a little turn, in the end was crowded out, and actually Bernardo Silva was the better ball.
You're listening to Watford 0, Manchester City 1 on TalkSport with a Now Sports Day membership. You can stream all the Sky Sports action, including this game live right now for $9.99 without a contract. Search Now Sports. Manchester City leading by 1-0, but their manager is grumbling a lot. He looks very disgruntled down.
He often does, doesn't he? I mean, he's a perfectionist, that's for sure.
Manchester City haven't quite been perfect as yet. He was asked in his press conference to mark Rodri season out of 10 as Sterling plays the ball across the face of the goal. It's come here for Foden, just outside the penalty area, but on the left-hand side. Did well to retrieve that and stop from going out. When asked about Rodri's season so far, he said, I'll give him 7 or 8 out of 10, but if it was 3 or 4, the whole team would be destroyed. I say 10 out of 10 just for strikers.
He knows they need the confidence, that's why.
He hasn't got any strikers, has he?
He's got Gundogan and Grealish. They're the ones that are almost playing as... I mean, they're two attacking midfielders, but playing in an area where a number 9 would play. I mean, they've got Bernardo Silva in between Cathcart and Rose, and they've got Gundogan on the other side between the centre-half and full-back, and they just try and overload you on the inside, so there's loads of space for your wingers out wide, and difficult for Watford.
Yeah, Foden and Sterling are keeping the width, but Dennis is keeping them honest here with a burst down the Watford right. He's inside the penalty area now, Emmanuel Dennis. He's got past Cancelo, strikes at goal, and Edison has a pretty routine save to make down by his post, but a little glimpse of what Emmanuel Dennis has been doing to Premier League defences in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, this is reminiscent of the Chelsea performance in terms of when they get the ball going forward, they're a threat on the counter-attack, and they are. At least that was better from Dennis, I think, coming in. I'd rather he try to get a shot off. He's the one that's most likely. Acute angle, nonetheless, pretty easy for Edison to get down low, but that was good.
Watford 0, Manchester City 1. But there's a little more balance about the game now. Manchester City still seeing the lion's share of the ball, but they haven't looked quite as dangerous in the last 6 or 7 minutes as they did in the opening 10. And Watford now are posing a threat of their own. Joao Pedro on the halfway line. It's run off the ball by Rodri unfairly. Free kick to Watford on the halfway line.
Well, that was a 4 out of 10 pass then, and I think if Guardiola was marking that, I mean, he just tried to play the ball over the top to Kyle Walker. It was a pretty poor one cut out by his standards, and in the end he committed the foul.
Free kick which Danny Rose will take. Works it short with Imran Louza. Rose again back on the ball on the halfway line. And Sterling diverts it out for a Watford throw-in just inside Manchester City territory on the Watford left. Watford 0, Manchester City 1 with 18 minutes played live on game day from Vicarage Road. Troost-Ekong goes forward towards Dennis, well met by Cancelo, who wins the ball. Foden just inside the Watford half. Rather late challenge there by Cleverley on Cancelo, but a good advantage play. Gundogan trying with the outside of his foot to loft the ball into the path of Sterling, making a burst into the penalty area, but it's run through to Daniel Bachmann, who's been back in the Watford goal last 3 games since Ben Foster's injury, but he will have noted that a week ago Watford signed the Nigerian number 1 Maduka Okoye, who's just 22 years of age, for next season. They've loaned him back to Sparta Rotterdam for now, but clearly they see him as the future.
Well, he's back in goal and he's busy, and you know, your goalkeeper is going to be busy, certainly playing against Man City, and he's going to make some saves. He's going to have to. He made that one from Sterling, but I don't think he can do too much about the header from Raheem from a couple of yards out, but he's going to have to make some more saves, that's for sure.
1-0 Manchester City lead. They're in possession with Laporte to Cancelo just inside his own half, trying to get Foden inside of Feminier, but the pass wasn't quite accurate enough. Manchester City very quickly have it back. Ruben Diaz 15 metres inside his own half, trying his luck down the right hand side, this with Sterling, and now Bernardo Silva is on the ball just outside the Watford penalty area, being forced wide by Cathcart, taking on 3 Watford defenders on his own before offloading to Sterling on the touchline.
Well, he attracted about 4 players there, didn't he, Bernardo Silva? And this is what they do, and then they shift it out and get it out the other way, although slowed a little bit now.
The fact that they can just keep the ball almost routinely, that every player is so comfortable, so happy to have the ball in tight situations, that gives them the vehicle to start to move your cover around. Joao Cancelo has it at the moment, 15 metres inside the Watford half. Goes back to Ruben Diaz. Now Kyle Walker. Haven't seen either fullback get forward very much for Manchester City, but they haven't had to, because Sterling and Foden are carrying the threat in very wide positions. Really are holding the width for Manchester City. Sterling is on the ball again, playing from the right hand side. Foden's last 3 starts for Manchester City now have been from the left against Everton, Manchester United, and now this game. Grealish playing as the false 9, running inside the penalty area. Oh, and almost caught out Bachmann with a side foot shot. Goalkeeper seemed a little unsighted and for a moment unbalanced, but managed to change direction, reach back and make the save.
Yeah, they've given a few penalties away as well, Watford, so they're just really careful about getting too close to Grealish as he worked his way into the box. Little deflection, took a little nick, and Bachmann in the end done well just to react there.
Interesting challenge that Pep Guardiola has given Grealish tonight, playing him down the middle. He got a rather mixed reception when he came on as a substitute late in the game at Villa Park on Wednesday, but you've got to love somebody before they can break your heart, and I think that was the story as the Aston Villa fans welcome back one of their own. His first football for 18 days, just 7 or 8 minutes at the end of that game, but starts tonight and starts down the middle for Manchester City. Gundogan making a break down the middle, but it's covered by Kiko Femenia, who drives it up towards the halfway line. Joshua King gets his head to it, but cleverly is eased under the ball by Joao Cancelo, then manages to recover it for Imran Louza. He pokes it back to Craig Cathcart midway inside his own half. Manchester City leading by 1-0. Ball's back with Daniel Bachmann, the Watford keeper. He goes long again, but this time all the way through to his opposite number, Ederson. Yeah, and that's where he's got to do better, because Bernardo Silva just breaks ranks and thinks, I'm going to close him down. Are you going to be brave enough to play out and past us? Because now basically City have got a man less on the outfield, and really he goes long, which is the worst thing. That's what they've got to trust. Play the ball into midfield, into Louza, and then they can turn and play. Well, maybe mindful of the fact that the Manchester City press against Aston Villa's attempts to play out in Wednesday's game was very, very hungry. Made life very difficult for Aston Villa in that particular area. You're right, but one breaks like that, Bernardo Silva, and the rest don't go for City. That's when you've got to trust your teammates and try and play out and break past it. Otherwise, you go back to front like that, and City have got the ball again. Aston Villa 0, Manchester City 1 on TalkSport with WeBuyAnyCar.com. Sterling now making inroads into the penalty area again. Grealish has got another chance, and he's lofted that over the crossbar for a goal kick. TalkSport with WeBuyAnyCar.com. Hundreds of branches, usually only 15 minutes away. Find yours now. Well, I mean, he could have had a hat-trick by now. I mean, Raheem Sterling, little give and go with Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva puts Sterling in, and I think he just overruns it. Eventually just pokes it through to Grealish, takes a couple of touches to set himself, and he's sort of leaning back. He's trying to reverse this into the top right-hand corner of the net, and actually just gets under it a little bit, almost from 12 yards, and by his standards, that's probably 3 poor finishes, really. Could have easily had 3 goals by now. The only good news for Watford so far this evening is that it is only 1-0, that Raheem Sterling's free header from Phil Foden's cross after 4 minutes is the only goal that Manchester City have scored, despite monopolising the game in all positive respects. They're on the ball with Gundogan, headed down towards Rodri, but he's caught in possession by Louza. King can't quite benefit. Laporte sees to that, and Ruben Dias just settles things down and finds Kyle Walker. Dias again midway inside his own half. The possession stats so far: Watford 20, Manchester City 80. Laporte on the ball to Joao Cancelo, halfway line, onto his right foot, trying to fire it down the middle for Bernardo Silva, making a burst this time. Turned away by Cathcart. Watford have the ball with Sissoko. An awkward one for Louza, but he's done well to direct it into the path of Joao Pedro, who matches it with good control. Runs now at Walker, left-hand side down by the dead ball line. Little hemmed in as Sterling comes to help, but he has won a corner kick here for Watford. Corner to Watford on their left-hand side. Yeah, he just didn't quite have the pace that he to get past Kyle Walker, and that's probably why he's in there. It's very difficult to get on the outside of Walker. I think Pep Guardiola is not too happy. I mean, it was Laporte, I think, Cancelo tried a really difficult pass. They lost possession, and it just put them on the back foot there. Yeah, I think if you're trying to attack Sterling and Walker, you're going to have a lot of pace to run away from them. Cleverly with the corner. Killed in with his right foot, punched away by Ederson. Pretty straight, but pretty long. Kiko Femenia trying to keep it alive, has presented the ball to Gundogan, and Manchester City have got a counter, and if Sterling can control this, they outnumber Watford. He's 15 metres outside the penalty area. He took some time to control it, and Watford have not only regrouped, but Emmanuel Dennis has got back there and dispossessed Raheem Sterling, who didn't begin to capitalise on that opportunity. Joshua King into the path of Dennis again, trying to get King in behind Laporte, who's having none of it, and cuts the ball out. Watford 0, Manchester City 1. Joao Cancelo midway through the Watford half of the field now, just sauntering forward down the left-hand side, tries a right-footed shot, which is wide of Bachmann's left-hand post. He's claiming a deflection, but it is a goal kick. Yeah, and I think Raheem, if he gathers this in a little bit better, it's that first touch of his as the ball is bouncing. Then they're away, City, as you say, they had an overload as well. That comes from Firmino. He's got to look after that ball from the corner. It's cleared to the edge of the box, or about 10 yards outside the box. He's got to really make sure he feeds that back out wide to the taker. Instead, he hits it. It's too narrow. It's cut out by Gundogan, and it's a really good ball over the top. Firmino's got to be better there. I was drooling over that counter-attacking goal, the second one they scored at Villa Park on Wednesday, and particularly the finish from Bernardo Silva, which he described so well before the game. But it took me a while to notice that it all began with a Riyad Mahrez back heel inside his own penalty area to Fernandinho, and then they started to accelerate with Gabriel Jesus, and that finish from Bernardo Silva, any other player in the world would surely have taken a touch because he had time, and he just volleyed it left-footed into the roof of the Villa net, just directed it, and it was a fabulous breakaway goal. They don't get many chances to counter-attack Manchester City. They've dominated this match so far. They lead by 1-0. Their goal scorer Sterling is on the ball. Played back to Kyle Walker. Edge of the centre circle, it's Aymeric Laporte. Threaded forward. Grealish takes it on the half turn. Feeds Gundogan just outside the penalty area. Gundogan left-footed shot actually hit Grealish, who may have been in an offside position. It's gone out for a goal kick anyway.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of talk obviously about the front part of the pitch, but you know, the reason the front part get the ball is because players like Laporte and Ruben Diaz and Rodri are able to find them in tight little pockets. The amount of times Laporte has punched the ball into Grealish on an inside in a really tight little pocket, maybe a 5x5 square or whatever, he's able to get turned and drive it at Watford back line. Has been too many so far, but it comes from the passing ability of those two centre halves.
Voice of former Ireland international David Connolly. Watford 0, Manchester City 1, 28 minutes gone. The latest odds are available from Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage at this moment. Watford to win, 33-1. The draw, 10-1. Manchester City, 16-1 on to win the game. Those odds from Betfair, you'll get no cash-out suspensions on match odds. And over-under goal markets on football, you must be 18 and do be aware of begambleaware.org. Now, Watford have won a free kick here in a promising position. They trail by 1-0. Manchester City deserve their lead, but Watford are getting a little bit more encouragement with each passing minute of this first half. The free kick is maybe 10 paces outside the penalty area. It's left of centre as Watford look at it. It would need a very, very good shot to test Edison from this kind of range, but both William Troost-Ekong and Craig Cathcart, the two centre-backs, are forward to lend some aerial power to Joshua King's presence. It's going to be hit by Dennis from range, and Edison, who saw it a little bit late, makes a pretty comfortable save.
Yeah, and I think probably he's pulled rank a little bit, Dennis, in the goal-scoring form he's in. Fancied that one. They tried a little roll on the ball and strike, but the touch just allowed City to get out and close the ball down, which really took the sting out of the shot.
He has scored good goals in his last 3 games against good teams, coolly taken goals against Chelsea, Leicester and Manchester United. Here come Watford again with King, and a nice turn 5 metres outside the penalty area. Sissoko shoots and balloons his shot, but underneath it hopelessly. But the applause you can hear, because Watford are now in this game, and whereas they could have been 3 or 4 down in the first 10-15 minutes, they're 1 down and they're not out of it.
No, absolutely. Rodri's just robbed of the ball there. King's done really well, fed it into Sissoko. You'd probably want Emmanuel Dennis there rather than Sissoko, not really renowned for his finishing, got under the ball and blazed it over the bar. But yeah, certainly it's given the crowd some encouragement.
Manchester City will want to take a little bit of the heat out of the situation here. They're certainly not having things their own way as they were in the opening stages. Grealish is on the ball on the halfway line, caught late there by Rose, but a good advantage play. Sterling on to Gundogan, and now Bernardo Silva gets outside the box. Ilkay Gundogan, good save by Batman. Bernardo Silva is back on the ball, and he scored 2-0. Just as Watford threatened something, Manchester City shot the door in their face. Now, wait a minute. Oh, it is a goal. There's a yellow card being shown for Danny Rose, who caught Grealish in the move. That was what the referee was doing. No, it is a goal. It is Ilkay Gundogan, and it is Watford 0, Manchester City 2.
Yeah, I think in the end, Jack Grealish, Pep Guardiola was screaming at Jack Grealish to come deeper and link the play. He does exactly that. They spin the ball round the corner. Eventually it's fed into Gundogan. His first shot saved. Bernardo Silva picks it up from a really acute angle. Batman gets done at the near post. I think he's expecting a cross and actually just invites a little hole for Bernardo Silva just to side foot the ball into. It's a lovely little finish, to be honest. Really calm, clever, keeps his composure from a really acute angle. but Batman just opens his body too much. I think he's expecting a little cross, and in the end he's done by that cuteness and cleverness that we all spoke about at the start of Bernardo Silva.
4 goals in his last 5 Premier League games, Bernardo Silva. And 3 of those have been real poachers' goals too. It's now 4 times that he scored against Watford in his Manchester City career. 6 for the season, and that one tucked in very neatly from a difficult angle, just at the very moment that Watford were showing some signs of still being very much a presence in this game. It's a long, long way back now for the home team, trailing Manchester City by 2-0. Raheem Sterling and Bernardo Silva, the 2 goal scorers. Cathcart goes long from midway inside his own half towards King. It's a fight ball, and King is prepared to fight for it, but he's outnumbered there and he can't win the ball, and Manchester City resume control of the ball, and Bernardo Silva accelerates over the halfway line, and now Walker is accelerating forward in support, but it's played instead out to Sterling on the right hand side. Support comes from Rodri. Back to Ruben Diaz, square to Aymeric Laporte, edge of the centre circle into Grealish, and back to Joao Cancelo. There's confirmation that Danny Rose picked up a yellow card just as the referee was showing it to him. I thought he'd seen something which might put the goal in some doubt, but the goal itself was clean enough. And it was the challenge by Rose on Grealish in the build-up to it that the referee didn't like the look of.
Well, Kyle Walker just given the ball to Raheem Sterling, a little pocket of space. I mean, Rose has been booked. For me now, Sterling's got to take him on, rather than just keep setting the ball back to Walker. Here he is now in space. Go and take him on, see if you can get him booked again.
Sterling instead clips it into the penalty area. Gundogan looks ahead. It's a chance for Foden, a good chance too. Trista Kong got a little lost inside his penalty area, and then Foden actually lost his bearings a little bit, tried to hit it first time on the turn. He had a bit more time and he unusually sliced it well wide.
Yeah, by his standards, a little bit lucky. I mean, it's just on a little swivel here, turn and hit. Didn't really have too much time to think about it, get his bearings. It's probably the one thing he's done wrong so far. It's been brilliant, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of 8 or 9 out of 10 performances in Manchester City white so far. We said it right at the start of the evening. These are not the games on which Watford's survival attempt is going to be judged. Manchester City are going to win more games than they draw or lose during the course of the season against all comers. But it was a little ironic that that second goal came during Watford's best spell of this Manchester City dominated first half with just over 10 minutes to go to half-time. Live on Game Day here on TalkSport, and it is Watford 0, Manchester City 2. Tomorrow on TalkSport we'll mark the 100th anniversary of the FA's decision to ban women's football back in 1921. We'll do that with a series of special features throughout the day. We'll look at the journey women's football has been on since that ban and hear from those within the game that have helped to bring the game where it is today. And Adrian will be based at Wembley for the Women's FA Cup final tomorrow afternoon. On the session, Bernardo Silva, edge of the penalty area. Gundogan couldn't quite gather it in. Raheem Sterling tries to dink the ball past Danny Rose, who manages to stand his ground and clear his lines. But Watford are just unable to enjoy any ball retention really of any note, and Manchester City are back on it almost immediately and back with a grip on the game almost immediately. And Laporte plays it to Rodri, and now down the left-hand side for Foden. Grealish taking over. Foden again, early ball into the box. Cathcart with a rather anxious clearance back out towards the Manchester City left, where it's stolen back by Joao Cancelo. He looked with a little trick to get Foden in, but Feminier came between them and Watford have a goal kick. Yeah,
I mean, the challenge that Watford have is when they win the ball back like Danny Rose did there, he looks up, there's only really maybe King could hit the ball to, but Rodri standing in front of him, he's got obviously one in front, one behind, very difficult for King to get hold of it, and you know, Rodri's a man mountain, so it is tough for that front part of the pitch.
A victory will take Manchester City back to the top of the table this evening. Interestingly, their goal difference is currently the worst of the 3 top teams. They might be able to do something about that before the end of the evening.
Well, I think Pep will be saying that at half-time. You know, whatever the score is at half-time, they could have had at least 3 more goals.
But the 2 that they've scored, from Raheem Sterling after 4 minutes, from Bernardo Silva after 31 minutes, enough to give them a firm hold on proceedings here at Vicarage Road. Jack Grealish is on the ball, just inside his own half of the field, twisting and turning and playing it out to Foden, who quickly ups the tempo of the attack, but is halted by Kiko Femenia on that side at the expense of a Manchester City throw-in. Femenia was actually in the Barcelona B team when Guardiola was the first team coach. He said that they didn't have much contact. He actually caught Barcelona's eye playing against them at the Nou Camp against Messi and Iniesta, and winning with a team you may remember, Hercules Alicante, who used to be in the top division. Well, Femenia won at Barcelona with them and was picked up by Barcelona, but he had a bit of trouble getting past Dani Alves into the first team back then, and eventually moved on. Facing Guardiola's team again tonight, and looking after Foden, who's attacking down the left-hand side now, combining with Joao Cancelo. Femenia goes to him, but just lofted over his head by Foden. Little 1-2 with Gundogan, wins a throw-in for Manchester City, down by the corner flag, but they're attacking on their left-hand side. Works short between Joao Cancelo and Ilkay Gundogan, and Foden's back on the ball again, bursting infield, but being forced back by Femenia. Now Ruben Dias, edge of the centre circle, switching it to the right-hand side. Bernardo Silva into the path of Raheem Sterling. 5 metres outside the penalty area. Bernardo Silva again. Swept out to the other flank once more. They move you one way, move you the other. Just trying to open up and stretch the cover. Now Ruben Dias comes forward, and Grealish has pulled out to the right touchline for a change. He moves it infield to Walker, now forward back down that touchline where Bernardo Silva has taken up residence for a moment or two. He exchanges passes with Walker. Manchester City putting together 20 or so passes almost effortlessly. Laporte into Foden, now onto Cancelo, now he's in behind Watford, pulled across the face of goal, and it's cleared by Cleverley, but one back by Foden. That's fantastic appetite from Phil Foden again. And here go Manchester City once more. Gundogan back to Rodri. It is mesmeric, David Conn. Well, it really is.
I mean, look, you've got to stay with your runners. I mean, Emmanuel Dennis just switched off there, and Cancelo was in behind him, so it's so hard when they're attainable for this long. It just wears you down, not only physically but mentally. You can switch off, and that's what they're trying to do. The Watford player switches off, you know, don't really track a runner, bang, they're in.
And it's a tiring game to play without the ball, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming down the left-hand side, there's Joao Cancelo. Now Gundogan. He turns under pressure from Sissoko. They're chasing shadows out there. Walker, now Sterling, 10 metres outside the penalty area. 2-0 Manchester City lead. Sterling thought about trying to go on the outside of Rose. Instead, Jinks inside him. He's inside the penalty area here, but surrounded by 4 who dispossess him. But they can't keep the ball. Joao Pedro up to King, but he's immediately dispossessed, and Manchester City are back on it again. Here's Bernardo Silva, 20 metres from the corner flag, right-hand side, infield to Rodri. Grealish takes over. Now to the left-hand side, and Cancelo, Foden again. Cancelo once more, got a little bit of space to run into. Feeds Foden once again, and Grealish has pulled out to the left-hand side, now onto his right foot, tries a little backheel pass, cut out by Femenia, but it's a rare touch for Watford, because Manchester City are in possession yet again. And Walker out to Bernardo Silva. Now he's on the right hand side, stepping away from Rose, and Gundogan, low cross, cut out by Cathcart. Manchester City corner, chance for Watford for at least draw breath.
Yeah, I mean, look, Danny Rose has had the opportunity to win the ball twice here. The first time it comes and he heads it down straight back to City. That time he could have won it off Bernardo Silva, and he dangled a leg. I mean, you know, if you're playing full back, you've got to go for it. You've got to play well, and you've got to go for it. And he's having a really tough night out there.
Corner 2, Manchester City on their right-hand side. Foden takes it left-footed into the edge of the 6-yard box, where Cathcart did well this time against Laporte, and the ball set up for Daniel Bachmann to gather. Just 4 minutes to the break. Bachmann going long again towards King, but he's outnumbered down there, and it's just a hopeful ball, really. A hope perhaps that a Manchester City defender might slip as he tries to control it, and it doesn't happen, and Here we go again. Manchester City back on the ball, leading by 2-0. It's consummate control.
Well, it is, but that's where Bachmann, surely likes a Cathcart and cleverly out there. Got to say to him, just hold it. Let us get up the pitch, because at the minute they've barely moved from the edge of their box. And once, Bachmann's got it in his hands, settle down. Just relieve a bit of the pressure, especially after such a sustained attack.
There was a 10-minute passage midway through the half when Watford were giving almost as good as they were getting, and Manchester City didn't like that, and that's when they scored their second goal. And it's almost as if they can do that at will. Aymeric Laporte down the left-hand side. He just asked a bit too much of Jack Grealish, who was caught on his heels, and Watford have a throw-in down by the corner flag on their right-hand side. Feminier is just taking his time over this, and I don't blame him. Takes it down the line eventually for Sissoko. He's always looking to carry the fight, but he's not able to carry the ball. He's lost it, and Sterling has it now in an attacking position, lofted forward towards Grealish. Trostekong heads away. Foden tries to recover it. Feminier showed enough pluck against him to win the ball. Foden wanted a free kick, nothing doing. Down goes Dennis, buffeted by Rodri, but no more. Dennis is told to get to his feet, which he's not done as yet, as Manchester City come forward. Walker down the right-hand side. Bernardo Silva goes back to Ruben Diaz. Grealish has come really deep, asking for the ball. Diaz instead plays it to Bernardo Silva. First time on to Walker. Back to Bernardo Silva again. And you look down at the field and there are defenders ahead of attackers and players pulling into wide positions that you don't expect to be in wide positions. How do you defend against this? Sterling is inside the penalty area, trying to turn Cathcart, holding the ball. Twist, guides a cut back towards Gundogan, which is intercepted, and then an anxious clearance downfield by Bachmann, at least links with one of his own, Sissoko, but Feminier can't get it away.
I mean, just looking at Bernardo Silva, a couple of things he does. He had it just in this right-hand pocket, and Kyle Walker was just sort of to the side of him. What he did, he played the ball in front of Kyle Walker and said, that's where I want you, so I'm going to play it there, and then Kyle Walker had to get after it. He just got it on this right-hand side again and played it out to Laporte. Didn't give it to his feet, played it 10 yards in front of him and said, I'm going to play it there because that's where you want to receive it to take us further up the pitch on that side. I mean, that's the little sort of details that you get with someone like Bernardo Silva.
Watford are coming forward, but Feminier unable to link with Cleverley. When you spend so long without the ball, you almost get a little bit edgy when you do manage to string two passes together, and the second one there just wasn't good enough. They were trying to get forward too quickly, and Manchester City just A, get the ball back, and B, get their hold back. 2-0 they lead. Goals from Sterling and Bernardo Silva. Grealish is on the ball just inside the Watford half, out to Sterling on the right hand side. Return pass is a good one. Grealish now just outside the penalty area, forced wide by Rose. Sterling exchanges short passes with Rodri and then goes back to Walker, and now to Laporte, edge of the centre circle, switching the point of the direction of the attack to Foden on the left hand side. Cancelo as ever in support of him. 2 added minutes coming at the end of this half. Ruben Diaz back out to Sterling on the right hand side, again just in from the touchline. Lovely ball played outside Rose, and here's Grealish inside the box. Cut back was deflected safely into the hands of Daniel Bachmann, who rolls it out this time to Emmanuel Dennis, who comes to ask for it. Accelerates up towards the halfway line. He's got Sissoko beyond it. It's a good pass from Dennis, and this is Sissoko early into the box. King is there, but it was a good cover actually from Laporte, who cut it out, and then Edison picked it up. 1 or 2 murmurs about a back pass, but I think it was more of an interception.
Yeah, it was a good break though from Watford. Good decision making from Bachmann just to roll it out, but Sissoko's got to get back in pretty quick.
2-0 Manchester City lead. They're back on the ball with Sterling, 20 metres in to the Watford half. Plenty of space to pick it up, think about running.
Yeah, and thinking about running, I mean, when Grealish got in before and he ran to the bar line a couple of times, Foden played across early in the half and there was nobody in the box. Grealish got in behind her and he looked and there was nobody in the box. So when they've got so many ball players as they do now behind the ball, trying to link it and get in the little pockets, sometimes when they do break past the line, they maybe don't have that 9 that everyone says, they don't have exactly where a 9 would be, if that makes sense, because they're all
It is a good discussion point, David.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you and Hugh can take it up at half time. I mean, listen, it's fantasy football now. Harry Kane to Manchester City is not going to happen. But if Harry Kane was playing tonight, how many goals would he have?
Yeah.
Maybe more? I don't know.
Absolutely.
Here's Grealish. 10 metres outside the penalty area. Manchester City looking for a third, and Cancelo steers it across the face of goal, and it's deflected behind for a corner. We're picking holes in near perfection, by the way.
We are.
They are wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
And also we can do that because the tempo had dropped slightly, so the ball was just being passed around aimlessly, really. So there was not aimlessly, but the tempo has dropped. It has dropped a lot. Obviously the second goal has killed Watford a little bit.
The big surprise at Villa Park on Wednesday was that Gabriel Jesus wore number 9 on his back and played as a number 9.
Yep.
Manchester City corner on the left-hand side, guided in by Gundogan and easily gathered by Daniel Bachmann. That is the last action of a Manchester City controlled first half. From the very outset, when Raheem Sterling, in acres of space, headed home Phil Foden's cross to give them a 4th-minute lead, Manchester City had a hold on this game, and they've retained that hold despite one or two spirited Watford forays at time. Funnily enough, on the back of the most encouraging of those forays, Bernardo Silva added the second goal with an assist from Ilkay Gundogan. But if there is a mystery left in this match as Manchester City head back towards the top of the Premier League, it is why it's only Watford 0, Manchester City 2. Two changes for Watford at the break. Off go Imran Louza and Tom Cleverley from their midfield. On in their place come Juraj Kucka, the 34-year-old Slovakian international, and number 29 Cucho Hernandez, the Colombian midfield players. So Claudio Ranieri just trying to shake things up a little bit. I don't think it's going to change the shape of the team unduly, although maybe Joao Pedro will now move into more of a number 10 role. Looks to me as if Sissoko and Kucka will hold the fort in midfield, with Dennis from the right, Cucho Hernandez from the left, and then Joao Pedro playing just off Joshua King. So more 4-2-3-1, David Conley.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And I'm sure, look, he had to do something maybe, and as well as having and try and console them and get their belief back, but make a couple of changes at the same time. Sterling attacking the edge of the Watford penalty area, getting a return ball from Bernardo Silva and providing a searching cross which Craig Cathcart, 32 now, reaches out to turn behind for Manchester City's first corner of the second half. They led 2-0 at Villa Park on Wednesday and dominated the first half there, but Villa scored very early in the second half and changed the complexion of the game. Watford need to score the next goal of this match, that's for sure. Foden played back to Walker. It's a short corner. Now Gundogan just outside the penalty area. Bernardo Silva's got in behind them, and there's an opportunity for Ruben Dias sliding in, but he's unable to convert it. The flag was up in any case against Ruben Dias, so Watford will have a free kick inside their own penalty area. Yeah, I mean, one change I think he could have made, which he hasn't. Maybe he could have put Firmino on as a left back, because I think you just saw Raheem Sterling play a 1-2 there and get past Danny. I think Danny's having a really difficult game, and Gakpo could have come on and gone right back maybe. That might have been another change, but he's made two in the midfield. Manchester City do have this ridiculous record against Watford, 13 consecutive victories, 13, in which they'd scored 50 goals, including an FA Cup final 2 years ago. The last time they met in the Premier League 2 seasons ago, they won the two fixtures 8-0 and 4-0. That cup final was 6-0. So Watford have been here staring down the barrel before. But Dennis is on the attack, and King is trying to set up Joao Pedro with a shot, and that's blocked inside the penalty area. And here's Dennis again trying to just coax the ball out to Feminir on the right hand side, and has at least coaxed a mistake out of Joao Cancelo. And Watford do have a corner kick on the right hand side. Yeah, there's a nice little set there from Josh King back to Joao Pedro. Good little pick out in the box as well from Dennis, and this will give him encouragement. Let's see if they have the same success that City did on their set pieces. Yeah, it was from a corner that goal came for Villa, taken by Cucho Hernandez and headed over the bar
by Joao Pedro. It was a sharp chance. There was a lot of pace on Cucho Hernandez's corner kick, and Joao Pedro couldn't quite control the header. Goal kick Manchester City, who lead by 2-0.
Yeah, it's a really good ball in there, wasn't it? It's an outswinger, so we're always going away from goal, and that just allows that City back line just to quickly squeeze out the 6-yard box. If anything does fall, then when someone touches it, there will be offside.
Cucho Hernandez has started 4 of the 7 games under Ranieri prior to tonight.
I was going to say, he's just got rid of his gloves. He's warmed up. He's just thrown up the post still on the pitch where he should be stationed, but maybe he doesn't need him anymore.
Littering the field with his handwear as Manchester City counter. Bernardo Silva finds Phil Foden 5 metres outside the penalty area. Bernardo Silva couldn't quite take the return ball in his stride. It had plenty of pace on it, but as Watford looked to counter-attack, Manchester City ease back into possession. 81% was their share in the first half. They're on the ball again with Joao Cancelo. Jack Grealish is playing as the false 9 tonight to Gundogan. He was caught late there by Joao Pedro Grealish. City have the ball though. Gundogan, Sterling edge of the penalty area. Cross charge down by Rose, then tries a left-footed volley, and that's deflected over the crossbar by Cathcart. Corner kick. Grealish has picked himself back up to his feet.
Well, people will wonder how Raheem Sterling gets in so much space, but this is what they do. They get Bernardo Silva on that right side to make a run in between Danny Rose and his centre half, and that just drags Danny really, really narrow, and then they just feed it wide to Raheem in acres of space to deliver that ball in, and it's so hard, really, really difficult.
Here comes Foden's corner from the right hand side, and Bachmann is able to catch this one without too much pressure and relieve a little bit of the pressure on the Watford goal. Sterling after 4 minutes, Bernardo Silva after 31 minutes, the scorers of the 2 Manchester City goals. They conceded just 1 first half goal all season. Manchester City were never really in much danger of conceding 1 tonight. They have a throw in which Joao Cancelo will take midway inside his own half of the field. Bernardo Silva offers himself and volleys the ball, hopefully downfield. Trustor-Kong cuts it out. But City have it again with Rodri feeding Walker, accelerating over the halfway line, and now feeding Sterling. And Walker goes on to the edge of the penalty area, cuts it back to Jack Grealish inside the box, just couldn't quite gather it under pressure from Kucka. But what a burst of pace that was by Kyle Walker. He's out of position now as Watford try to counter-attack. Joao Pedro's pass for Emmanuel Dennis was poor, but Cancelo made a mistake, and Dennis can go on, and he's inside the penalty area, trying to turn into space. He in fact turned into traffic, and it was snuffed out by Rodri, and Manchester City can break now, and Bernardo Silva has the ball, and here's Sterling now just outside the penalty area. He's going to go it alone. Raheem Sterling stings the hands of Daniel Bachmann. Watford clear it for a throw into Manchester City down by the corner flag. Clear chance for Sterling.
Absolutely. I was really looking at his touches here. Are they nice and tight? Are they close? I think he could have gone again with Cathcart, maybe fake to go on the outside rather than, I think it was a little bit too obvious that's where he was going. In the end, the strike was pretty well safe on Bachmann. It was comfortable in the end. I think he could have just dragged Cathcart a little bit closer to his goal and tried to deceive him a little bit more. He did the feint the other day, didn't he, for Ruben Dias's goal against Aston Villa. He needed a little feint like that. He didn't have anything there.
Gundogan has the ball midway through the Watford half, trying to play it inside Feminier for Foden, but the right back recovered. Watford clear their lines, but only at the expense of a Manchester City throw-in, about 5 paces inside the Watford half of the field on the Manchester City left. I'll run you through the 2 lineups as they start this second half. Watford with Daniel Bachmann in goal. Back 4 now: Feminier, Trostekong, Cathcart and Rose. The 2 sitters in midfield now: Kucka and Sissoko. Then a line of 3: Dennis, Joao Pedro and Cucho Hernandez with King up top. Manchester City have Ederson in goal. Back 4 of Walker, Ruben Dias, Laporte and Cancelo. Rodri sitting, and then ahead of him Bernardo Silva and Gundogan playing almost as inside forwards. On the right it's Sterling, the left it's Foden, and the false 9 tonight is Grealish. Foden's cross is slightly deflected, Well controlled by Grealish. He's just outside the penalty area. Fed into Gundogan under pressure. Might come for Sterling. Kutska got amongst it. Managed to make a challenge and just keep Manchester City at bay. Up towards King. Laid off to Sissoko. Breaks a fairly high challenge from Ruben Diaz, which has been penalised by the referee, who was brought in at relatively short notice tonight, Simon Hooper. Free kick.
And again, I mean, you know, they get so much space up wide. How is Foden in so much room? It's because this time on the opposite side, it's Gundogan in between Troost-Ekong and Firmino. Makes that run in between them, drags Firmino in narrow, and then Foden is in just so much space, able to just pick his cross out, and that's what they do. Attack you on the inside to make you narrow, and then they can attack you on the outside.
I was looking through my own records at half-time as to whether Grealish has played in this kind of role for City before. I've made a note that at Liverpool, funnily enough, he kind of played down the centre that night. He and De Bruyne, it was a race. You never quite make out Pep's formations, but it is a very false nine, because the player who occupies the central role, if you like, in the front three is always looking and being told to drift deep and link up play.
Yeah, and then it's up to Bernardo Silva as an attacking eight in between, you know, the opposition full-back and centre-half, and Gundogan on the opposite side. They're the real sort of troublemakers, to be honest, in their shape. They really are.
And they're both suited perfectly to making trouble in that kind of role. I made the point last time we commentated on Manchester City together, David. They have so many multifunction players, hybrid players who can play in, you know, any one of 3 or 4 different roles in this setup. Cancelo forward towards Raheem Sterling, one of those hybrid players, but he can't control it down by the dead ball line, and it rolls out of play for a goal kick. Daniel Backman just taking a little bit of time over this one. He did start the season in the Watford goal after breaking in midway through the promotion campaign, coming out of the European Championship finals as Austria's #1 goalkeeper, which he still is, but he lost his place last month and was sounding unsettled until Ben Foster was injured in training and he had an opportunity to come back in. It's a rather poisoned chalice keeping goal against Manchester City at the moment. Cucho Hernandez is on the ball though for Watford, coming forward down the left-hand side, right on the touchline, digs out a pass to the edge of the box where Dennis was trying to link with him. Well marshalled by Bernardo Silva, but they've got it back again, Watford, inside the City penalty area, and Dennis stumbling through a couple of challenges, eventually goes down holding his knee. I must admit I didn't see any significant contact with Dennis, which worries me because he is still down. It may be a twist rather than a contact injury.
I just wonder if he gets stuck in the turf here, possibly. You're right, there is no contact. I mean, you know, when the ball is at his feet, he is such a threat. He can twist, he can turn, tries to knock it through the legs of Rodri. There might have been a little nick there from Rodri, maybe on his knee. Just a little boot there.
You know, there's a little ankle tap there. He went down very late.
It's in the box.
It is in the box. And I'm not encouraging players to go down, but if Emmanuel Dennis had gone down a bit quicker, who knows? I mean, the men in the middle now are being asked to ask themselves, was it enough contact to bring the player down? Could he have ridden the challenge? I think the answer to that is probably yes, he could.
Well,
but it was contact.
Yeah.
Certainly last season, it was the kind of incident where we were seeing VARs suggesting penalty kicks. Cucho Hernandez crossed in towards King, just tried to lay it off to Dennis. This is better from Watford, who trailed 2-0. Digs out a pass for Feminir, edge of the Manchester City penalty area. His cross is charged down by Cancelo, cleared by Gundogan. A little bit more anxiety about Manchester City's defending than there has been for much of the night. Watford asking some questions. One FA Cup tie being played at the same time as us this evening, and Yeovil Town have taken the lead in it. Yeovil Town, mid-table National League 1, Stevenage down near the foot of League 2, 0. Forward come Watford again, Sissoko being encouraged to shoot, got a little bit excited and dragged the shot, mishit it, low, wide, goal kick.
Well, who is encouraging him to shoot? Maybe it's the City fans, I don't know, but you don't want him to shoot from there. He's 25 yards out. I mean, he's already blazed one over the bar. He's got to find the likes of Dennis and King, and they've started the second half really sharply, they have. You know, keep getting the ball into them. They've looked really, really bright.
You're listening to Watford 0, Manchester City 2 on TalkSport with Now, the Now Sports Day membership. You can stream all Sky Sports action, including Aston Villa versus Leicester City, live tomorrow for $9.99 without a contract. Search Now Sports. On the ball is Kyle Walker. Out to the Manchester City right-hand touchline where Raheem Sterling, as always, waits. Brings the ball infield, not making any real inroads, so it goes square to Gundogan. On to Foden, corner of the penalty area, now inside the penalty area, goes for goal himself. Element of surprise about the shot. Batman got down quickly by his post and concedes a corner kick to Manchester City.
Yeah, he is quick. He was in a little bit of space here when he was 1v1, and then he worked his way into the box really, really quickly. Nice little pass to him from Gundogan. And as we saw at the Amex, he is lightning Foden, got a shot off it. I thought it just came off the post there. Maybe it didn't. I didn't actually think Batman got a touch on this, but he's got a call for a corner anyway.
Disputed corner. Foden's first game for a fortnight. He's missed the last 3 games. Minor ankle problem. Gundogan takes into the 6-yard box. He's volleyed first time by Laporte. He puts his head in his hands as if it was an easy chance. It was an awkward chance. It came to him at waist height. He almost made too good a contact, and the ball thundered well wide of Batman's goal kick.
But that posse of players on these corners have caused Watford an awful lot of issues, haven't they? There's a posse of 4, and they hang at the back post for Man City, then they break off in little directions, and because they mark man for man, it does mean you can get loose if you get a little block, and again, you've got the first contact.
Following this commentary, the lines will be open for game day. Your verdict. Gabriel Bonlahor joins Hugh to take your calls. 03717 223344. Got live boxing on TalkSport later from 9. Tomorrow on TalkSport 2, live Test cricket from Mumbai from 4 a.m. and then live rugby union from the Premiership at 2:45 tomorrow on TalkSport 2 with the leaders Leicester at home to Harlequins. Watford coming forward, trailing by 2-0. João Pedro. A little bit more menace about them in this second half. Good back heel from Feminier and on by Dennis. And here's João Pedro again, and Watford have another corner on the right-hand side. And there's a corner, there's hope. Taken quickly by João Pedro. Short to Cucho Hernandez. Crosses left-footed, charged down by Bernardo Silva. Cucho Hernandez fighting for the ball with Foden, almost literally shoulder to shoulder. I thought it was Verstappen and Hamilton for a moment. It's really competitive. Cross is cleared as far as Rose. Back to Cathcart. Now just inside the Manchester City half, Trossard goes long towards Kutska. Managed to knock it down to Sissoko. Had to push the referee out of the way in order to get the ball. Nice little layoff from João Pedro. Return pass from Kutska isn't quite good enough. Manchester City can counter. And here's Bernardo Silva into the path of Raheem Sterling. He's got 2 for support here. Sterling edge of the penalty area. Hit by Gundogan. Just over the crossbar. He had Grealish available too. It was 3-on-3 for a moment, but Manchester City couldn't capitalise.
Oh, they should have done. I think actually the referee doesn't get in the way here, but as it turns over, Gundogan runs with the ball. I think he may be released a little bit too early, puts Raheem in. It's a 3v2 in all essence, and I think he could have gone down the line, Raheem Sterling, said cut back in, little sideways pass to Gundogan, and I think he's probably shooting from a bit too far out there, and that could have worked it much closer to goal, so he didn't make the most of that.
He is the quiet star of this City midfield, Ilkay Gundogan. Another 6 goals for club and country this season, 21 last, 17 for Manchester City, 4 for Germany. It's not even the strength of his game, goal scoring. He's just turned beautifully there and fed Sterling, and Manchester City are on the rampage again, and Sterling edge of the penalty area, cuts inside, but he's held up well by Cathcart. Ball's recovered by Bernardo Silva. Throw into Manchester City, 20 metres from the corner flag on their right-hand side, but they're getting counter-attacking opportunities because Watford are attacking more.
Yeah, but Danny Rose, Cathcart's got to pull Danny Rose in, for a spell, because Raheem Sterling's in so much space every time they turn the ball over. I mean, Cucho's had a good impact, right? So just leave him, let him go, and I'm going to stay back with Cathcart and just make it a little bit tighter at the back, because Sterling's having far too much space.
Danny Rose will know all about Raheem Sterling. Their paths have crossed as England colleagues and as opponents in the Premier League so many times. Played against each other in a Champions League quarter-final a couple of years ago. Grealish, Foden, now Walker, edge of the penalty area. Bernardo Silva taking over onto his left foot. Oh, what a goal that is by Bernardo Silva. Curled into the top corner. His second of the night. His second glorious goal of the week. Manchester City lead by 3-0. As soon as he stepped inside onto his favourite foot, even though the angle wasn't great, he used it just to bend the ball round Daniel Bachmann high into the top corner. Unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely sensational here from Silva. Superb. He's in so much space again, just pulls out wide from Danny Rose, then he's 1v1, and as you say, he's got to keep him going down the line. Allows him to cut in field far too easily, but he bends this beautifully right into the top corner. Absolutely fantastic finish.
Well, Pep Guardiola has been playing down awards. In the press briefing he gave yesterday, was asked whether Bernardo Silva is now a Ballon d'Or candidate, whether he is the best player in the world. His answer was, look at the videos. And he referred to 3 or 4 games that Bernardo Silva has played this season to suggest that the answer may be yes at this moment in time. I have got far too much respect for the rivalry between Liverpool and Manchester City at the moment to adjudicate between Bernardo Silva and Mohamed Salah, but they're probably the 2 best players in the Premier League right now.
Yeah. But I think, as I said just after, let's see this through.
This is Dennis coming forward for Watford down the right-hand side. Good cross, well gathered by Ederson, but Manchester City now lead by 3-0.
Well, it's hard to get started, but after half time, I think I would have taken Danny Rose off. Yeah, and you mentioned Champions League, and I know all that, but it's a different game here tonight, and maybe Firmino up against it might not have had any impact, I don't know. And Gakpo could have come on. Rose has been booked. He's too narrow. He's hard to get out and close the ball down. He's had a really difficult game, and look, it's hard to stop Bernardo Silva, I know, and maybe a change in fullback might not have helped, but I think I would have done it.
Joao Cancelo, the Manchester City left back, coming forward, trying to feed Sterling, who, let's not forget, is on 99 Premier League goals. 31 players have scored 100 Premier League goals in this era since 1992. 5 of them have played and scored for Manchester City in the Premier League. If you like a little quiz at home, it's a tough one actually. The 5 Manchester City, the 5 players who've scored 100 Premier League goals, some of them for Manchester City. I'll give you one. There's a fella called Aguero, but can you get the other 4? Here's Grealish on the ball for Manchester City. That number might increase in a moment. Sterling's waiting. Grealish going alone, deflected. It's the top of the crossbar and bounces behind for a corner kick.
Well, maybe he's not going to get his goal, Jack Grealish. I don't know. He's had a lot of chances tonight.
Ilkay Gundogan is coming off. The really, really good news now for Watford is that Kevin De Bruyne and Riyad Mahrez are about to come on. 3 down, feeling it a bit. Gundogan is being replaced, and so too is Jack Grealish. Well, in fairness to them, they both have missed a game in the last week or so maybe have missed some training too, one would imagine, so it's probably a sensible move to bring off Gundogan and Grealish. But Kevin De Bruyne and Riyad Mahrez are coming on. De Bruyne, who not only tested positive and had to go through the statutory 10 days of isolation, he had a real bout of COVID last week, lost sense of smell and taste, felt really, really tired, so he's missed quite a bit of training. He hasn't played for 18 days since Belgium's draw in Wales. So De Bruyne is on. Mahrez, who has been a regular of late, is on, and Manchester City are 3 up with a corner. Foden takes it edge of the 6-yard box, came off the back of Laporte, kept alive by Rodri, turned away by Troostekong and then by Kutska. There's a bit of an accidental collision, I think, with Ruben Dias. Kutska's gone down holding his face. It's Watford 0, Manchester City 3. The latest odds are available from Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage. And wait for it, Watford are now 500 to 1 to win this game. The draw is 250 to 1. And if you want to have a punt on Manchester City, I hope you've got a lot of money, because there are currently 1,000 to 1 on. Those odds from Betfair, where you'll get no cash-out suspensions on match odds, no under goal markets on football. You must be 18 or over, and do pay a visit to the website begambleaware.org for help and advice on how best to enjoy and manage your betting.
I think really should be disappointed he didn't score, don't you? I mean, he had 4 good chances and he didn't score, and when you get taken off after having so many opportunities and you haven't scored it, that'll be his regret from tonight. Sterling
now playing from the left-hand side, just being clipped by Emmanuel Dennis as won a free kick for Manchester City. About 20 paces outside the penalty area, left of centre as they look at it, more of a crossing position than a shooting position. Mahrez is probably the one Manchester City wide man who stays on his flank and almost always plays on the right-hand side. Foden and De Bruyne are the two standing over the ball here. One of them will curl it in towards the heads. It is Phil Foden, so it's an outswinger, and it's just helped on its way behind by Craig Cathcart. And now it's a Manchester City corner on their right-hand side. Riyad Mahrez is down there and ready to take. Foden offering himself for the short one. Laporte and Diaz have stayed forward along with Rodri. It's being taken by Riyad Mahrez from the Manchester City right with his left foot curled in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, where Kiko Femenier heads clear. It's given away momentarily by Cancelo, but then he wins it back, and City are back on the attack with Bernardo Silva, and he's played in Riyad Mahrez, and it's cut back. Backman makes a save of sorts with his feet, comes to Laporte, and he makes a right-footed shot which draws a very good save from Backman, who seems to have strained something. Backman has gone down in agony. We've got that situation where the goalkeeper is prostrate in his penalty area that we had at Old Trafford in midweek, but the referee on the field has spotted it. It's not funny for Daniel Backman, who almost did the splits there, and I think he's pulled something. Yeah,
it was a good save though, wasn't it? Really good save from Laporte down low. Well, look, this is that change. Ngakia is coming on. I mean, whether he comes on for Danny Rose, I don't know, but I think he could have come on at half-time.
Jeremy Ngakia played the last 5 minutes of Wednesday's defeat. He is going to replace Danny Rose, as predicted by David Connolly. 21-year-old right back who chose to leave West Ham United for Championship football last year, and was a regular in the first half of the promotion campaign. He did start 2 of Ranieri's first 3 games in charge, but then Femenier was recalled. Femenier is staying at right back, and Ngakia has gone to left back.
Yeah, he can do that as well, but as I said, don't repeat, I think I would have done that at half-time. That was the decisive change, and sometimes you sort of, when you do this, well, you stick your neck out, and it's, and you think, right, that's what you should have done. I think it's cost them at least 1 goal, and certainly in the first half he never looked right, Danny Rose, and I think he might have just got the selection wrong there, Ranieri.
It was 2-0 at half-time. Raheem Sterling and Bernardo Silva, who's added to his tally since the break, and it's now Watford 0, Manchester City 3, with WeBuyAnyCar.com. Hundreds of branches, usually only 15 minutes away. Find yours now. On the ball is Cancelo. It's Bernardo Silva. Gabriel Jesus is now imminent for Manchester City. Strength in depth has been recovered since the middle of the week, when they had 5 teenagers on the substitutes bench at Villa Park. They're not on the bench tonight. Foden into the path of Mahrez, onto De Bruyne inside the penalty area, across the face of goal, and Femenier had to hack it away from right in front of his goalkeeper. There's another threatening ball. Sissoko trying to lead a breakout, full of energy as always. Joao Pedro checks and then plays it out to the left-hand side, where Dennis saunters forward. no real urgency, but he has found a really good pass for Kuczka with a left-footed shot, and he forced a save from Edison, who dives down to his left and holds on to it.
Yeah, it's a good break though, really good break from Watford. Nice pass from Dennis into Kuczka in the little pocket. Took the shot early, maybe could have gone a little bit closer to goal. It's going to be something special, I think, to beat Edison from there.
3-0 Manchester City lead. Rodri to Bernardo Silva, and now Aymeric Laporte midway inside his own half, just keeping Edison warm. At what point does Edison want to add to the 15 different goal scorers City have had this season? Lovely ball forward by Foden, trying to get Sterling in behind Watford. I mean, are they the kind of outfit that would give him a penalty if Manchester City won at this stage, or is that the last? They're too professional for that, maybe.
Yeah.
I bet he'd score it.
I bet he would as well.
There was a time last season when he was saying openly that he thought he was Manchester City's best penalty taker. Yeah. They're having a bit of a problem with that. Header away by Laporte. And as far as Joao Pedro, Kuczka forward, Cucho Hernandez out to Kiko Femenia. Cucho Hernandez inside the penalty area, drives in, score! Oh no! Hit the inside the post, now it's in! He scored at the second attempt. Cucho Hernandez makes it Watford 1, Manchester City 3. He hit a low angle ground shot, which looked to be heading in, hit the inside of the post, bounced back across the face of goal. He hit it the second attempt. I'm not 100% certain that his second shot was going in, but it was turned in by the goalkeeper. Either way, Watford have scored.
Yeah, it's a really well-worked move. I mean, Firmino into Hernandez, who's had a really good impact since he's come on. You've got to say, good strike, low across goal, bounces back, as you say, and in the end, Edison puts it past, well, he puts it into his net, doesn't he, really?
Yeah, I'd be interested to see whether the dubious goals committee give this goal to Cucho Hernandez or not.
Yeah, or as an OG.
There's his first shot. I think the second shot probably just heading in, and Edison, in his bid to keep it out, has helped it on its way into the net. Cucho Hernandez's second goal of the season, and probably more importantly for him, unless we're about to see the comeback of all comebacks, has probably forced Claudio Ranieri's hand into perhaps starting him in Watford's next game at Brentford next Friday.
Well, you know what, Clive, that was a City-esque goal, wasn't it, in terms of how they worked the ball into the pocket and one of those inside little channels that Bernardo Silva likes to operate in, and Gundogan. It was a really well-worked goal from Watford. Well done.
Watford 1, Manchester City 3. It's first goal that Watford have scored against Manchester City since 2017, I think. That's right. Manchester City have scored a stretch of unanswered goals since Watford last managed to land the blow on them. Foden it is who's gone off, for Gabriel Jesus coming on in his place. Gerard Deulofeu was the last Watford player to score. I beg your pardon, it was March 2019. City had scored 21 unanswered goals in the 3.5 games up to that moment when Cucho Hernandez reduced the arrears here. 3-1 then, and that Manchester City goal difference is now plus 23. Chelsea's is 26, Liverpool's is 32, but it looks like there's going to be 2 points separating those three at the end of the night.
Well, now they've got that goal, Clive. The ball's gone into Josh, and he's got to get hold of it. I mean, Ranieri's sort of shrugging his shoulders, frustrated, because, you know, now their tails are up a little bit. You know, get it into your 9, secure it, and help us build into the game. You can't keep losing it.
Yep, another Watford goal certainly would make life interesting. Life's very interesting down at the bottom. Newcastle's victory today lifts them up alongside Burnley and Norwich City on 10 points. Watford start tonight with 13, 3 ahead. But there are 2 teams on 15 and another 4 teams on 16 points. So Watford have a couple of critical matches coming up next at Brentford next Friday. Then they visit Burnley. And they play well in the second half. Cucho Hernandez with a cross, and that is only just wide from Joshua King. This is much better now for Watford.
Hernandez, I mean, the impact he's made has been absolutely brilliant. Fantastic cross, early ball into the box, and Josh King, a really good little run, gets across the near, first time finish. He can't quite wrap his foot around it enough. He's almost past the near post as he makes contact, and that means you've really got to wrap that foot around it, and he just doesn't quite do it enough.
Manchester City having to be a bit more watchful now. Walker coming over the halfway line on the right hand side. Watford 1, Manchester City 3. There are still 12 minutes remaining on the watch. Mahrez exchanging passes with Gabriel Jesus on the Manchester City right. Goes back to Walker again. City happy just to keep the ball and just try to quell this little Watford upturn. Gabriel Jesus to Riyad Mahrez, just in from the right hand touchline, feeds Kevin De Bruyne, floated towards Sterling, edge of the penalty area, but again Cucho Hernandez, effective at both ends, chases back, intercepts and clears his lines. I mean, as far as Joao Cancelo, edge of the penalty area, Bernardo Silva, now Raheem Sterling trying a curling shot, and that one loops over the crossbar and goes behind for a goal kick. I will give you the answer to that quiz question incidentally before the end of the game, if I remember. The 5 Manchester City players who have 100 or more Premier League goals to their name and who have scored some of those goals for Manchester City. I've given you Aguero. The other 4 I think are really difficult. Don't concentrate on that, David, concentrate on the game. David Connolly, 11 minutes to go.
I wasn't going to waste much time on that. I do like a quiz, but ironically not very good at football ones.
Manchester City have the ball and they have this 3-1 lead. Joao Cancelo forward to Kevin De Bruyne, halted though by Trostekov. Joao Pedro, Sissoko. Forward comes Ngakia down the left hand side. Now Emmanuel Dennis, who's been on the fringes of things so far. Watford star man. Back to Sissoko. Has he got a big contribution still to make? And Ngakia with the cross from the left hand side. Cancelo has to deal with it and does. Heads it away. Kept alive by Femenir. And this time Ruben Dias with a header forward. Gabriel Jesus square out to the right hand side of Mahrez, just inside his own half of the field. Again, just happy to keep possession and go back to Walker. Bernardo Silva. A bit of game management now from Manchester City. De Bruyne helping it on to Sterling, not in quite such a hurry to go forward and add to their goals tally, but more just to keep Watford at bay. And the way they do that is by dominating the ball and making it impossible for Watford to raise any kind of a comeback. Ruben Dias 15 metres inside his own half, exchanging passes with Walker. Again it goes back to Ruben Dias. Now he strides forward over the halfway line, out to Mahrez on the right hand touchline, just inside the Watford half of the field. Joao Cancelo helps it on, and then Bernardo Silva into the path of Raheem Sterling, just outside the penalty area. Now running at Femenir inside the box, right footed shot deflected by Trostekong, and it goes behind for a corner kick to Manchester City on their left hand side.
Yeah, it just sort of opened up for Raheem there. You just thought he was going to bend that into the far corner, a bit like Bernardo Silva did, but in the end Trostekong in the right place. I mean, Kucha's come on. I mean, him and Sissoko, that is a big midfield, isn't it? And he'd come on, added a bit of steel, a bit of aggression. You can see he's trying to get tight to people and ruffle a few feathers. I mean, he hasn't maybe had the same impact as Cucho, but he's done well. He's done well as well. The 2 subs have done well.
De Bruyne will take this corner kick for Manchester City from the left hand side, right footed. It's very, very deep, headed back across the face of goal, and Ruben Dias has an effort blocked and Bernardo Silva has an effort blocked, and Trostekong clears his lines all the way down the field. Actually Ederson comes way off limits in order to control it under no sort of pressure at all.
I tell you what, if he'd have looked up where Backman is, Backman was on the edge of his box and Ederson was 10 yards inside over the half. He would have put that over his head easily.
Okay, those 5 players who scored 100 Premier League goals or more, some of them for Manchester City. Sergio Aguero, all 184, and then the difficult ones: Nicola Anelka, Robbie Fowler, Andy Cole and Frank Lampard. Raheem Sterling one short of joining them. He scored the first tonight. After 4 minutes, Bernardo Silva scored either side of half-time. to put Manchester City 3 up, but Cucho Hernandez has reduced the deficit since then. We've got 8 minutes left to play. The third of our 3 live Premier League commentaries on TalkSport today on game day, and it's Watford 1, Manchester City 3. And Gaki coming forward for Watford. He's got Dennis at his shoulder and he delayed the pass, and Dennis wasn't ready for it in the end.
Was unlucky. I mean, he done well in Gaki initially just to win the ball back, very aggressive, and you know, that's what I like in terms of the changes that he's made. They've come on, had more energy, showed more desire, more aggression, and you know, they've showed some character in this second half, Watford.
The ball is with the Manchester City goalkeeper Edison. It's almost tempting King to come and close him down before rolling it out to Rodri, and then Bernardo Silva plays it back to Edison, who's just part of a passing move when Manchester City are in this mode, and he's as comfortable with the ball at his feet, it seems, as the men in all wide ahead of him.
Well, just look at Bernardo Silva. He's about to make a run, looked at Cancelo, checked back. You know, that pass to Edison was not to his feet, was in front of him. You know, that's the intelligence. Here he is again.
Mahrez to Rodri, poked on to Bernardo Silva. Rodri again, slick into passing. Sterling's on the ball. Cancelo's inside the Watford penalty area. Corner kick, is it? No. Charged down by Feminir. It'll just stay in. Cancelo has it back. Goes back to Rodri, just outside the box. Shooting opportunity. Door closed in his face, and then he loses the ball. And Watford have it back, and they've got a counter on it. They pick the right pass. Played by Joshua King out to Emmanuel Dennis. Midway inside the Manchester City half. Dennis breaks in field. He's really been himself tonight, has he?
Well,
Dennis?
No, I mean, look, he can't go on the outside of Kyle Walker, so he came on the inside, confronted with De Bruyne, put it through his legs, which I'm sure he'll be pleased about, but then he didn't get it the other side. But you're right, I mean, a few things haven't come off for him, but I've really liked the look of him.
Gabriel Jesus turning well and being hacked down by Cathcart as he tried to go clear. And Gabriel Jesus has got an arm in the air to suggest he's in some pain here. Cathcart has been shown the second Watford yellow card of the evening, but there's a little bit of concern here. I say concern for Gabriel Jesus. The Manchester City medical team are not very, very quick to get onto the field.
It's a cynical hack, to be honest. I mean, he stops it and moves it really quickly, Jesus. Takes it with the instep, then moves with his little toe, big toe, little toe, then he's away from Cathcart, who can't catch him, and he just cynically hacks him down on his knee, sort of just below his knee, on his shin.
Pep Guardiola made a very old school comment in his media briefing yesterday when he said that some of his players are a bit softer than others. He was talking about Phil Foden, who always wants to play on with pain, play with injuries, but he did admit that he was one of the softer players who, when he was injured, didn't want to go near a football field, and he did imply that he had one or two others in his ranks who were not able to keep their pain threshold at the levels perhaps that we expect of the modern 21st century athlete.
Well, I think you can say that as long as you say you were one of those softies.
Yeah.
So that's clever. Clever from Pep. Which you don't expect anything less.
I'm happy to say I've got through my entire life with a motto of no pain, no pain. I don't do physical courage. But Gabriel Jesus is still being treated, and now climbing rather painfully to his feet. Here on TalkSport tomorrow afternoon, Asian will present the Sunday session from Wembley at 1. Scene of the Women's FA Cup final. Arsenal and Chelsea kick off at 2. All the goals as they go in on a busy Sunday in the Premier League and the FA Cup 2. Next week is a European week, Champions League football on TalkSport and TalkSport 2, Tuesday and Wednesday evenings. Note that City in Leipzig on Tuesday and Chelsea in St Petersburg on Wednesday are both 5:45 kickoffs. They are both live on TalkSport 2, but they are earlier kickoffs. TalkSport's Game Day Your Verdict with Hugh and Gabby starts immediately after we're finished here at Watford. 03717 223344 if you want to have your say on the day's football. Well, Gabriel Jesus is back with us. Laporte is bursting forward. Manchester City lead by 3-1. There is going to be some added time, only 2.5 minutes left on my watch, but I would think we'll have another 3 or so tapped on to that. Gabriel Jesus is back on the ground, this time a very fair challenge by Dennis, and a throw into Watford. Taken back to Cathcart and back to Backman, the goalkeeper. High up towards the halfway line, where it's well run in the air by King, and Cucho Hernandez trying to feed off him is stopped by the combined attention, João Cancelo and Ruben Dias.
He's done that well, I think. Josh King as well in the second half. He's won an awful lot of those long balls, little flick-ons, and just puts Watford a little bit further up the pitch. I think he's done well as a sort of central striker, Josh King, really well.
Manchester City counter-attacking once more as Watford push forward, and Sterling feeds De Bruyne, and on to Mahrez, and Walker is firing forward into the penalty area again, great space, and it's De Bruyne with a side-footed effort from 20 metres, which is just over the crossbar.
Brushes the top of the net, doesn't it? That was close. Again, Ngakia, he's faced with a different customer here. As Riyad Mahrez comes on the inside, just lays it square to De Bruyne, a bit like the pass to Gundogan when he just hit it over the bar.
Another managerial casualty to report. Ipswich Town, a parted company with Paul Cook in the last few minutes. Ipswich Town, who were held at home in the FA Cup today by Barrow. So still replays in the Cup, including the fourth round this season. So replay to come on that one. 3-1 Manchester City lead here on game day at Watford. Riyad Mahrez is on the ball, cutting in field and finding De Bruyne. Mahrez again trying to slip it in to Gabriel Jesus, who's moving a little better now. João Cancelo and Raheem Sterling exchange passes. Jesus goes forward once more, laid off to Mahrez just beyond him, and he couldn't reel it in, and Watford have it back. Ngakia just outside his own penalty area.
So he's not a left footer, so he's come on playing left back. He's doing his best, but he's a right footer, so he's always looking to then come back in field and link the play. It's difficult for him to get up the pitch.
Feminier has given it away to Bernardo Silva. And Manchester City up to 1 or 2 alarms in that period when Cucho Hernandez pulled a goal back for Watford. Are just easing their way to the finishing line and easing their way back to the top of the table. Victory here for Manchester City will give them 35, Liverpool 34, Chelsea 33. Liverpool and Chelsea meet early in the new year. And we're going to be keeping an eye, I think, on those summit meetings very, very carefully in the months ahead. But the nature of the beast is, Premier League titles are won by beating the rest. The points that Liverpool dropped at home to Brighton, that Burnley took at Chelsea, that Manchester City have lost at home to Crystal Palace, those points are equally as precious as the ones they take off one another. Long ball forward by Edison, 4 added minutes here. 3-1 is still the Manchester City lead. Good control again from Cucho Hernandez, held up by Bernardo Silva and eventually fouled by Bernardo Silva. Free kick won by the little Colombian just in from the touchline on the right hand side. Free kick which Juraj Kucka were offering to take long.
Well, you'd imagine this would be going in the box. Feminier's on it, Troost-Ekong's gone up, they've got Cucca, the height of Cucca now as well. I'd put Sissoko in there too, just load the box.
A few 6-footers now in yellow and black. Kiko Feminier high into the danger area, and Edison comes just as the defenders want him to do. Uses the height advantage of his long arms to grab the ball out of the night sky and then build it out to João Cancelo. Quickly up to the halfway line. Cuts in field and finds Gabriel Jesus in space. Slightly careless layoff, but seized upon by Rodri, and Ruben Dias has it back. Kevin De Bruyne has just had a little workout. We'll be feeling a little bit better for that. Manchester City's game in Leipzig in midweek is not important to their Champions League progress. Their next 2 games in the Premier League are both at the Etihad against Wolverhampton Wanderers and Leeds United.
Well, Ngakia's won the ball back of Mahrez again. He's just got a lot closer to Mahrez than Rose was getting to Sterling. I know the wingers have changed sides now, but he's come on, he's had a good impact. He looks a bit quicker across the ground. He's willing to get tighter, closer to his wingman. He's done well as well.
2 of the 4 added minutes played. Watford 1, Manchester City 3. Kevin De Bruyne midway inside his own half, down the left hand side to João Cancelo. Sterling looking to burst ahead of him. Cancelo carries it alone, edge of the penalty area, right-footed shot himself, which was a disappointing effort. Daniel Bachmann got everything behind it. Bachmann, thankfully, is looking fit again after his splits. Good ball from Sissoko. Here's Cucho Hernandez just outside the penalty area. Couldn't quite keep the momentum by taking it in his stride, but now he runs at Cancelo, gets past him, crosses deflected off De Bruyne and goes behind for a Watford corner on the right-hand side. I think they'll take encouragement from this second half performance going forward.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, what was good with that attack from Watford is that they knew that Cancelo had just had a shot on the edge of the box. Sissoko got it, thought, well, that means he's not in his full-back area. I'll put the ball over the top to Hernandez, and just that first touch of his just let him down, but nonetheless, he's won a corner anyway. And
the team that's finishing for Watford may well start at Brentford on Friday. Cucho Hernandez takes edge of the penalty area, and the header is just wide from Troster Kongi. There was a Manchester City head got in front of him. It is actually another corner kick on the right hand side, so it's well defended. Cucho Hernandez will take this one too. Steered back to Ngakia just outside the penalty area, tries a shot. He did pretty well, really. There's an awful lot of bodies between him and his target, but just wide of Ederson's left-hand post. Goal kick.
Why did they do that? I mean, look, it's ambitious to cut the ball back to the edge of the box when City defend zonally anyway, so they're already 6 yards out off the goal line, so to get to the edge of the box will take them a second, and you're going to shoot through 20 players or whatever who are a couple of yards away from you. What's the point? Just put it in the air. You know, they had Joy with Troost-Ekong just a moment ago. It doesn't make sense, that set piece.
Ederson takes the goal kick. It's the last action of a telling day in the Premier League title race. Manchester City's 14th consecutive victory over Watford takes them to the top of the table. The Premier League has had 3 different leaders today. When we woke up on game day this morning, Chelsea were at the top. They were beaten 3-2 at West Ham in the first of our 3 live commentaries this afternoon. It looked as if Liverpool might be held at Molineux until Divock Origi, their substitute, scored another of his crucial goals for the club in the very last minute to lift Liverpool above Chelsea to the top. But Manchester City had slipped down to 3rd place at kick-off here in the last of our commentary games at 5:30. Came up with the victory that they needed to lift them above the other 2 and into top spot. It was a victory that was inevitable, it seemed, from the moment that Raheem Sterling headed his 99th Premier League goal in the 4th minute from Phil Foden's cross. Bernardo Silva with 2 more expert goals to take his tally for the season to 7 either side at half-time, put Manchester City in complete control. But an improved second half Watford performance, improved in part by the substitutions that Claudio Ranieri made, did at least yield a consolation goal in the end for Cucho Hernandez, leaving us with a final score here at Vicarage Road of Watford 1, Manchester City 3.